Okay, we're in Math 2, and for this session we're only going to do number 34, 35, and 36 of Chapter 5. And the first one on 34 says the x-intercept of the graph y equals 2x squared minus 16x is it plus 30 are 3, 0, and 5, 0. What is the x-coordinate of the vertex, and how do you know? So remember, the vertex is going to be that point either very at the bottom or all the way at the top. It has the parabola is going to have a minimum or a maximum. And then I started looking through the hints and the answers, and I wasn't really... Well, the first thing that I would do is I would actually graph it, even though it really takes more time. But it's not too bad. So ignore my lines because I can't draw straight lines right now. But the first thing it said was the x-coordinates are 3, 0, and 5, 0. So I thought, okay, well, 1, 2, 3, 0. There's 1. And then 1, 2, 5, 0. Okay, this is going to be a very strange parabola. But, you know, it's not a big deal. So it's either, right now, you know that you need 3 points, right? You need at least to know the coordinates of the intercepts and then at least to know y-intercepts. So I'm like, okay, well, y-intercept for this one, all the way at the top, is going to be positive 30. So I know somewhere up here, all the way up at the top of the boonies, this graph is going to hit the y-axis. Well, it's going to be very far away, and I don't have time for that. But I want to know where the vertex is. So I'm pretty sure the vertex, as you know by now, doing a couple of these, is going to be somewhere in between the first point and the second point. And that's exactly what it says. It says, consider the vertex of a parabola that is on the line of symmetry. Well, the line of symmetry that they're talking about is, I'm going to make this kind of like yellow here, or orange I should say, is somewhere down in between those two. So it is in between those two. It's exactly in the halfway in between the point 3 and then this point 3 and then this point 5. So we know that the vertex has to be somewhere around the 4. So the question is, how do you find it? Now, usually we would spend a whole lesson even trying to do this, but you guys are going to do it in the homework, and I really hope you actually do this. What it says to do is, since the line of symmetry lies exactly in the middle of the two x-intercepts, the x-coordinate is technically 4. So if you know the x-coordinate, well, we can go back to what you learned a long time ago about things. If you wanted to find the y and you know the x, well, you can just substitute and plug it in. So that is what we're going to do here. We're going to plug in a 4, x for 4, and then we're going to see what the y-coordinate is. So let's see. We have y equals 2, and then we're going to plug in a 4, right? Squared minus 16 times 4 plus 30. So there's where we're going to plug in. And I'm going to go really quickly on this so you can follow along if you don't. Okay, first of all, it's not 2 times 4 squared, obviously. It's 4 squared, so that's going to be a 16. Minus 16 times 4, I'm pretty sure is, what is that, 40? No, 54? Yep, 54. Plus 30. Okay. 2 times 16 is going to be 32. Minus 54 plus 30. So let's see. 32 plus 30 is going to give you 64 minus 54. And that's going to give us, oh, that's really nice. It's going to give us 10. So y is equal to 10. Okay, let's just double check our work. 4 squared, 16. So 54, right? 2 times 4 is 4. Carry the 1. And then plus 30. Going through 32 minus 15. 32 plus 30. Oh, that's where I messed up. 32 plus 30 is 62. I don't know why I thought. 62, that's okay. Minus 54, that's just 2 less. So y is going to be equal to 8. Okay, so that's what we have. We have y equals 8. So when y... No, that can't be right. Am I missing something? Why is y equal to 8? That cannot be right. I'm missing something. Okay, well, something's funky. Y can't be 8, because if it was, that means our vertex would probably be going down, And that can't be possible because our -2 is there. So I must have done some calculation wrong. Okay, we plugged in a 4, we plugged in a 4, that's 16 times 2. No, we did everything right. Okay, now we're just going to have to wait for a second so I can go get the calculator. Okay. I bet you 2 times 16. No, that's 32. Minus, and then so 16 times 4. Did I do something wrong? What did I do? 64. Ah, there it is. It's not 54, it's 64. Okay. After 2 mistakes. Okay. Oh, okay, this makes more sense. Whew. Okay. 62 minus 64 is just a -2. Because we're short 2. Okay, that makes me a lot happier now. Okay, so y is going to be -2. So here's -2 down here at the bottom. There is your vertex. And, whew, good. And then, because we know the number in front of the x squared is positive, so it's going to go up through here like this. And then we're going to draw it out this way. Yay. Okay, there you go. Use your answer part A to calculate the y-coordinate of the vertex. Okay, we did that. And then write the vertex as a point. So this point right here is going to be 4, -2. 4, -2. That is our vertex. Okay, so get into the habit of graphing these. It makes much more sense visually. All right. All right, number 35. We have Donald has a bar graph which shows the probability of a colored section coming up on a spinner. This is so weird. I've never seen this before, but it's okay. It's okay. It's divided into 8 equal sections. Okay, so think of a spinner in 8 equal sections. So I actually drew that. I'm like, okay, so we'll use a spinner. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 equal sections. And this is 8 equal sections, okay? Coming up on a spinner that is divided into 8 equal sections, but part of the graph has been ripped off. So they did like a probability, here's a spinner, but then they just kind of put it in the bar graph, which is perfectly fine. So here's how this looks. So technically red, this part right here, okay, is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so technically red has 3 of these parts. Here's a red, here's a red, here's a red. Okay. And then yellow has, well, I don't have yellow, but I have orange. Yellow has 1 of these parts. Okay, so let's say it's up here. Okay, just pretend that's yellow. And then blue has, ooh, I do have blue. Blue has 1, 2, 3 of these parts. So here's a blue part. Here's a blue part. And then, I don't know, maybe here's a blue part also. Okay. Well, now you know, hey, look, we've got one missing, so they're probably going to ask us a question about that. So the question is, what's the probability of spinning red? All right, well, there it is. You have 3 of the slices out of the 8. What's the probability of spinning blue? Again, the same thing. 1, 2, 3 of the slices out of the 8. And if there's only one color missing from the graph, maybe green, what is the probability of spinning green? There it is. So, namely, 1 of those out of the 8. Okay, so that was pretty easy. I just thought I'd do this problem because it makes more sense when you have a spinner instead of that graph thing. Okay. And then 36? 36, yes. Okay, this was long. This was super long. Anyways, this is just long. So be prepared for 36. Settle in. It's probably going to take us about 6 minutes or so. You just bought a new tablet computer for $500, including tax. There are no required payments for 6 months, but the company does charge 30% annual interest compounded monthly on an unpaid balance. So this is actually a pretty good, problem for me, because the reality is there's a lot of people out there who will go to Best Buy, and Best Buy will offer them their lovely no interest for 6 months, but in this case you do have interest for 6 months. And if you have a balance, the interest still gets in there, and it's just you have to end up paying it while you are, after you actually start the problem. After you actually start paying it after 6 months. So they'll still charge you interest, annual interest, compounded monthly on an unpaid balance. So what's the monthly interest rate? So let's see, on our hint it says annual is yearly, so 30% per year is what percent each month, and it gives us a 2.5%. So the way that you would do this, as far as I would typically handle it, is you would actually take, well, you have 30%, right, yearly. Well, 30% is the same as 0.30. So if that's per year, and a year technically has 12 months on it, right, then the reality is you're just going to, well, I would just divide. Okay, so divide by 12 is going to give you 0.025. And that's where 2.5% comes from. This is per month. Okay. So then write an equation that models the cost of your tablet each month if you make no payments. So they gave us the equation from last year. So if you're not familiar with this, let me break this down for you real quickly. T of n is just like f of x, or like y equals. It's just the sequence with respect to n, and n is going to be what we're going for. So a is going to be the initial amount. Okay, so that's what this information is. And then 1, we're increasing each month. We're not decreasing, right? So 1 plus, and then your rate over the number of, where n is the time in months, right? So we already calculated it. I guess the best way to redo this would be to actually put in the numbers that we start with. So 500 times 1 plus 30%, 0.30 over 12, right? N is our number of months. And then time over, and then 12 up there. So this gives us exactly what they have here. So instead of actually writing out 0.30 divided by 12, they just took the shortcut because they already did the work in the previous part, right? So this part right here comes from right there, where n represents the time in months. So here's your equation. Okay, if you do not make payments for 6 months, how much will you owe your new tablet? See the formula for part B. So this portion up here is what we're going to substitute. So let's say we want to know after 6 months. So instead of 12, it's how much after 12 months, we're going to substitute in for 6 months and see what happens. So we're going to have the same equation. 500 is what we originally paid for the tablet. 1 plus, and I'm going to take the shortcut, 0.025. And then we want to know at 6 months, how much is this going to be? Okay, so let's do the work. So 500, 1.025 to the 6th, okay, and then 1.025 to the 6th power. I'm doing this on the calculator, by the way, because I'm not doing this in my head. Is 1.15. I'm going to do 1.16. Okay, so 500 times 1.16, right, times 500. You're going to end up paying $579.85 rounded. Okay, so let's see, T of 6. So in 6 months, T of 6, I guess is the best way to say it. You're going to, if you don't pay your interest, let's say they're like, hey, take a tablet, we'll charge you interest for 6 months. After 6 months, you're going to have to start owing us money. But if you don't make any payments whatsoever, you actually are going to spend $579.85 on this tablet. So rule is usually you want to pay your interest. Okay, what is the effective annual rate of interest if you do not make any payments for a year? Because the interest is compounded monthly, the effective or actual annual rate is usually higher than 30%. I don't know how they're doing this, but okay. I don't want to look in the key. I kind of want to figure this out. Okay, so I want to know 34.5%. Okay, let me try something first and then see if it's correct. If it comes out weird, your rate after 12 months? But that can't be right. Oh! Oh, I know. I have an idea. Okay. This is the last one anyway, so I don't care if I'm going over time. I have an idea. Okay, so let's say that you got lazy. Okay, let's say that 025. You didn't make any payments for 12 months, right? So they're still charging you interest. Okay, they're going to charge you interest, and it's 0.025 raised to the 12th power is 1.34. I'm going to round 345 in this case. Times 500 is equal to 672.44. Okay, so after 12 months, you really are going to pay. Let's say you got really lazy, you didn't have any money, you wanted this laptop or tablet, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to pay any money on it. I'm really going to end up paying $672 after 12 months. So I'm like, okay, well, if this is how much you're going to have to actually pay after doing all that after a month, after 12 months, how much are you really, what is the actual interest that it increased by? So usually what I would do is 500, let's see if this is right. 500 divided by 672.44. Let's see what I come up with. No, that's not it. 672.44 divided by 500. Because I don't know how they got the 34.15.5%. Oh, here it is. Okay, so technically, after a little while, you've really paid this much after 12 months if you got lazy. So if you take your new amount divided by how much you actually paid, you get 1.344. So really, you're paying 34.448% over the course of a year instead of that 30% broken down compounded monthly. That one there is just to let you know that it's the original amount that is added back to it. So technically, here's how you figure this out. 1.344. 500 times 1.344, right? 500 times 1.344 gives you 672, somewhere around there. So now you know that you're actually paying 34 point, because we're rounding in this case, 34.5% actually as how much it ends up being instead of 30%, which is what they said. I know it sounds really weird, but if you actually like this stuff, money happens this way. A lot of money happens this way. So that was 36. It's kind of long, but that's okay. It'll be fine.